super excited to be here, and I hope you are all as well.
Who's excited? Like, come on, let's get some energy up in here.
So I wanted to introduce ourselves. My name is Nadeem. This is Navid. We both run the Knowledge Society, which is an innovation program designed to dramatically accelerate your personal development. Now, I wanted to just share a little bit about ourselves. So between us two, we have traveled around the world, advised CEOs of some of the largest companies, started and sold startups, technology companies down in Silicon Valley, which is the largest tech hub in the world. And I'm super pumped, okay? Because while we were there and while we were doing a lot of these things, you know, we were waking up to self-driving cars every single day, right? We got exposed to Bitcoin and blockchain technology back in 2014. We got to test VR technology 6-7 years ago. And while we were there and while we were in these environments, you know, we asked ourselves two main questions. The first question is, why us, right? Why are we exposed to a lot of these really interesting experiences, these forward-thinking agendas, whereas most of the people who we grew up with in our traditional networks, like high school and university, they're not being exposed to any of this stuff, right? And then the second question we asked ourselves is, why not us earlier? Like, it's not a secret that Google was working on their self-driving cars 6+ years ago, right? It's not a secret that Jennifer Doudna discovered this new gene editing technology back in, I believe, 2015, that's gonna dramatically change the way in which we live, okay? And I'm super pumped because literally this is the most exciting time in human history. Like, when we were growing up, software engineering was the next big thing, right? And if you were in software engineering, which again, schools weren't talking about really, you would be starting companies like Google and Facebook and whatever. Today, there's a lot more opportunity. There's artificial intelligence, virtual reality, gene editing, blockchain, quantum computing, nanotechnology. The world is getting really crazy in a good way. And how can we think about using these technologies to solve some really important problems in the world? And when we think about, so what we do at TKS is we take people who have the spark and bring them to the next level. But what about people who don't really have the spark to begin with? Like, a lot of you go to school, you go to your extracurriculars, you go home, right? And it's rinse and repeat for almost like 12 years, even in university. Like, where do you have a chance to get this outside injection of knowledge? And when we think about a lot of these events that happen, they're typically during the day, they're very expensive, right? And oftentimes we're not getting some of the best people in the world to come in. So we were like, okay, how can we put on a world-class conference, right, with some of the best people on the weekend at a world-class venue completely free? And the reason why this is really important is because now, number one, of course, you have exposure to this type of stuff, whereas traditionally you might have not been able to access events like these. But two, if you're a young person and you want to play a part in creating the future, which I imagine a lot of you want to do, right? A lot of you want to have impact and you want to change the world. So if you want to play a part in creating the future, you need to have a hypothesis of what the future actually looks like. Like, if you don't know what quantum computing is, you can't imagine what quantum machine learning might look like and what that's able to do. Or if you don't know about blockchain, right, how you might better enable data privacy and security, like, you just can't imagine some of these things. So I'll hand it over to Navid right now to say a little bit more.
So like Nadeem said, we started something called the Knowledge Society, TKS. And I think, you know, when I was growing up, when I was your age, I never really understood that I could do big things and change the world. Like, I never understood that I could go start like a $1 billion company, or, you know, my best friends would be working at, you know, the head of machine learning at Uber and Google and all these huge companies. And even the amazing speakers today, like, they're just like you. And I remember looking at people working at amazing companies and big businesses and CEOs thinking like, oh, these people are different than me. Like, they're the CEOs, right? But the reality is that they're no different than you. And there's a quote by Steve Jobs that really resonates with me, and I want to share it with you guys today. So I'm just going to read this to you, but this is probably one of my all-time favorite quotes. When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is and that your life is just to live your life inside the world. Try not to bash into the walls too much. Try to have a nice family, have fun, save a little money. That's a very limited life. Life can be much broader when you discover one simple fact. And I love when he says this, right? Because it's so true. It's so true. Everything around you that you called life was made up by people that were no smarter than you, and you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. And once you learn that, you'll never be the same again. And this is really what it's all about, right? You literally have one of the most influential people in history that has met some of the other most influential people in history, telling you that those people are no different than you are. And remember, to get into this conference, you had to submit an application. And we had a lot of applications that we personally read through each and every one of them. And you were selected from all of these applications. So I want you to just take a second and really understand that the person next to you is interesting. Like, there's something about them. They have a drive, they have an interest, and they have a lot of potential. And for me, like, when I look at you guys, I don't see like a bunch of kids in the audience. In my head, it's like, okay, you're gonna be the next Steve Jobs, you're gonna be the next Sheryl Sandberg, you're gonna be the next Zuckerberg, right? Like, that's the way I'm thinking, because that's where you can go. Like, when you start now, you have unlimited opportunity. But if you wait for like the degree in university, and then you wait to get a job, and then you say, well, then I'm gonna do something. Well, you've already lost like over 10 years. If you start now, you have a 10-year head start on almost everyone else, right? So I want you guys to really get in this mindset, this active mindset, that it's like, okay, I'm here to listen to some of the smartest people in the world working at some of the most innovative companies in the world, right? We got Tesla, NASA, Google, Facebook, Oculus, Metaverse, amazing companies, Microsoft, and they're here to inspire you, right? You can learn from them and know that you can be like them and you can be more than them. Because I don't think any of us actually started when we were your age. So you guys have this huge head start, and I think that's really important to realize that, like, I was not sitting where you were over 10 years ago listening to someone from Tesla, because Tesla didn't even exist, right? Almost every company that you see here didn't really exist 10 years ago. Like, Google started in 1998. I mean, NASA's a little bit older, but they're innovating like crazy, and the NASA today is very different than the NASA before. And you'll see that through Manan's talk. And so I want you to, again, be in this active mindset that you're here to learn, but be inspired so you can actually do something with that knowledge. And the second thing is to meet people, right? Because the person next to you, you don't know where they're going to be 10 years from now, right? You don't know. And I know for me, like a lot of my friends, they're now working in very interesting industries, in very high positions. And it's these relationships that are so important. And in this room, it is filled with extremely smart, driven, ambitious people that care about innovation, science, technology. And so meet each other, right? Get to know each other. And the way you're gonna get to know each other first is through this icebreaker, okay? And so, you know, how else to get comfortable with people and make new friends rather than doing a selfie challenge. So that's what you guys are gonna be doing right now. So here are your objectives, okay? These are your objectives for the selfie challenge. And the goal is to hit all of these objectives. And you have like 20 minutes, right? See the back of your name tags? There's a schedule on there. And it's there on purpose because at the time the selfie challenge is done, you should all be sitting again, because we're gonna have the first speaker, Alan, come and blow your minds, okay? So when I count down from 3, I want all you guys to get up and start getting on this selfie stuff, okay? 3, 2, 1.